Good afternoon. My name is Melissa, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to this conference call. For this call, Mayor Melissa Blake and Bob Couture, Director of Emergency Management for REOC, will be fielding questions related to the wildfire situation. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question during this time, simply press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, press the pound key. Thank you. Bob, you may begin the conference.
Thank you, Melissa. Good afternoon. Just as a current quick update on the operations in the region right now, we've had some tremendous luck today. We have overcast skies with light rain and a very cool temperature, which is of great assistance in our forest fire fighting operation, and we're making progress in that regard. Probably the most significant aspect is that we are continuing to work on our plans to bring our citizens of Wood Buffalo back to our region, and we're making significant progress within that. And we'll be welcoming them soon, and hopefully in anticipation of the date of June the 1st. But then again, we're looking at June the 1st. That's forecasted, and that we have all our safety and hazards addressed, and that we can welcome our citizens back to a safe community. Your Worship.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining for this update. As the Mayor of the Regional Municipality of Wood Buffalo, I found the news this morning to be very heartening. It was wonderful to know that we're actually making some progress. With the reentry process that was announced by the province yesterday, it makes me feel more confident that we might be able to achieve the dates that were set out, and we very much look forward to welcoming our citizens home soon. All right, so if we're able to take questions now, I'll be happy to answer anything that you have.
At this time, I'd like to remind everyone, in order to ask a question, press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. We'll pause for a moment to compile the Q&A roster. Your first question is from Cullen Bird with Fort McMurray Today. Your line is open.
Hi, Mayor Blake. This question is for you. So just in terms of the phased reentry, I know there are a number of conditions that have been emphasized will be tacked on to this conditional timeline. However, I just wanted to ask, are you concerned that some residents will arrive unprepared for just how basic the services in Fort McMurray will be?
I think that I have an anticipation that we will give as much information as possible to our citizens and that they may or may not be well prepared. The responsibilities that the municipality has undertaken is to ensure that we have also got the necessities in the community upon that reentry period. So my expectation is that citizens will prepare for themselves. There may be some potential for coverage otherwise, but ultimately I expect people will go home for a very brief visit to assess what their properties look like, and that maybe a few will stay longer, but I almost anticipate that people will just reclaim the things that they wish they'd had over the last few weeks and then continue to wait for a better, more proficient time of reentry in the future.
Thank you.
Your next question is from Terry Reese with CBC News. Your line is open. Terry, your line is open.
Yes, hi. Sorry, I had my phone muted. Mayor Blake, can you please talk to us about the air quality there? We heard this morning that it had improved somewhat. What does it look like now, and where do you expect it to be?
So I'm still in the city of Edmonton, but with the report that we received this morning from our members that are actually working in the community, that the best air quality they've experienced in the duration of this has been today. I understood that we had air monitoring numbers that were off the charts, and what we're back into is a range that's almost normal for our community under regular circumstances.
Thank you.
Your next question comes from Chris Vandenbrekel with Mix 103.7. Your line is open. Chris Vandenbrekel, your line is open.
Yep, my apologies here. Madam Mayor, I just wanted to ask you about the smoke damage. What have you been hearing from crews about that?
I really don't have any update on that. I know that the earlier part of the firefighting efforts, that when I went to my own personal home to retrieve something of importance for that visit, that the quality of air in my home was pretty good. I thought that my clothes smelled pretty good. The jacket that I actually walked away with at that point, when I came to Edmonton, apparently it did have still a smoke odor, but it's difficult to tell whether it was infused before I took it home or if it was something that I accumulated while I was there. I think the power provision to a majority of homes through this ordeal will actually help to offset some of the anticipated effects. But until we get into our homes, again, we're not really going to know what that might look like.
Your next question comes from Gareth Hampshire with CBC News. Your line is open.
Thank you. Hi, Mayor Blake. Just wanted to ask you, we've heard from a couple of people who rent homes in Fort McMurray, and it seems with some of them it's unclear whether they'll have to pay rent for the month of May, even though they had to leave. What do you think companies should be doing there?
Well, clearly my preference would be that people are given the regards of not having been able to access properties over that period, but at the same time I feel for businesses that actually have to sustain themselves through this period as well. My expectation is that the provision of the government card and the Red Cross support should help people to potentially offset some of the dual household management that they've had to go through in this period. So it's not a clear, easy answer. Many who have the capability, I'm sure, would be able to support their residents, but others may not have that capability, and unfortunately that would rest with the individual homeowners to overcome.
What advice would you have for the tenants faced with that situation then?
I will say that it's an imperative that they stay in contact with the Red Cross. I know that in communications with that entity, the ability to continue to manage our circumstances well beyond just the crisis mode that we're in now, but for that reentry will come down to a lot of individual assessments. And if people need the help, I know our nation has been incredibly generous with our support, and I think this is exactly what it's for.
Your next question comes from Emily Mertz with Global News. Your line is open.
Thanks. I have two questions. One is for Mayor Blake, and it's to do with the Red Cross. We've been getting some calls at Global from people who are from evacuees who are having difficulty receiving those Red Cross fund transfers. Have you heard anything, or do you have any comment on that?
I haven't, but it was a question that I presented when I had an opportunity to meet with them, and they are looking to find these people that are having trouble so that they can get that transfer to happen. So the encouragement that I have for anybody with difficulty is to continue to reach out to the Red Cross and to ensure that you find remedy that way. I know it's what they desire.
Okay, my second question is for Bob, and it would be, do you have any details on the 5-unit condo fire damage from today that we heard in the provincial update?
What I have is that we have a report of the loss of 5 additional condominiums. This is actively under investigation by the Regional Emergency Service Fire Prevention Fire Marshal's branch, and supported as required by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. That investigation is ongoing, and as the outcome of that, we'll see how that develops into the future here.
And when did it happen?
I believe it was about 2 o'clock, 2:30 this morning it took place.
Thank you.
Again, if you'd like to ask a question, star 1 on your telephone keypad. Your next question comes from Rick McConnell with CBC. Your line is open.
Hello, Mayor Blake. Mayor Blake?
Yes, hello.
Hi. You said a little bit earlier that you are more confident now that you'll be able to meet that June 1st deadline, and I just wanted to ask you what it is that's happened today that makes you more confident about that.
A big factor was, of course, the air quality that people were facing. We know that we've been watching the progression of the fire and that we've really reduced the amount of potential fuel within the urban center, so it becomes more and more difficult to imagine the fire coming back into the city. But our weather has tricked us before, and we've actually had extreme circumstances earlier this week that really made the doubt come into my mind about the dates for reentry and ensuring that we had safety at the forefront. So the difference today is that we've actually had a wonderful a wonderful day with the weather in terms of that fire and the activities that our frontline personnel are able to put into taming this crazy beast that we have. And so I think that it just helps to have a really good day in firefighting to bring that confidence back to people.
Can you tell us anything about the work that will be going on, perhaps as early again as tomorrow, about getting the hospital up and running again, getting retailers in so they can get some stores open? How is that work progressing, and what do you know about that timeline?
I think I'll leave that one for Bob to respond to. He's connected in the REOC to those industries and enterprises. So Bob, if you will.
Good morning, sir. I can tell you that Alberta Health Services is working very hard to get the hospital, the permanent hospital up and running. They're making significant progress on that, and we're glad to see that. So that, of course, aids in our reentry program.
And any news on? Sorry.
And in continuing, we've been reaching out to our local suppliers, grocery stores, operators, hotel, motel operators, gas stations, pharmacies, banks. We've been reaching out to them, and we've had advance parties come in the community. They've been doing what we call a reconnaissance on their stores and their properties, determining what it's going to take to get those facilities back into operation, to get them stocked with the appropriate supplies and goods that will support our citizens. And I can tell you we're making great progress on that. The community is really coming together, and we anticipate that to go forward very quickly here in the next little while in preparation of our citizens returning to our community.
Thank you.
Your next question comes from Kendra Fowler with 660 News. Your line is open.
Hi there. I'm not sure what question this would be regarding. It's just about the basic needs, grocery stores and everything, since that was covered. But what about mental health access for residents that return home, not realizing really the effects until they actually get into the city? What kind of resources are available for them?
What the plan is for that is that as our citizens return to our community, again, they'll be able to go to their home, do their inspection, or they also have the option to attend the information centers. Within the information center, we will have a full range of services within that. Insurance company reference information, banking information, but most importantly from a healthcare, mental care process, of how we can support them within the community, and that also may be some immediate care or support structures within it. So we want to be sure that we cover off all those bases and that we support our citizens when they return.
Excellent. So those are being set up now then, or will they be set up probably next week, soon?
What we're doing right now is going through the planning phase and coordinating all those activities. So in preparation of June 1st, when we start the reentry program, and again, June 1st is a date that we're heading towards. However, the conditions may change that we either have to push that date back, depending upon the conditions within the community. And one of the two critical factors, of course, is the threat of the fire and our air quality, and those may cause those dates to be set back. But as we see today, our weather has changed dramatically, but however, as Her Worship has indicated, we know this beast and the conditions also change very quickly. So we want to be prepared for everything, but right now we're heading towards that June 1st date.
Thank you very much.
Your next question comes from Chris Van Brinkle with Mix 103.7. Your line is open.
Hi, I just wanted to ask Bob about that Sylvan Forest Road fire. So is that 5 units, is that all that was damaged, or is that in addition to what was previously announced with the fourplex?
Chris, right now the information I have, that is all that was damaged at this time. And again, the preliminary results of that's what I have.
There are no further questions in queue at this time. I turn the call back over to the presenters.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I recognize these are tricky times with people in multiple locations. I am grateful that you were able to dial in and to have some questions posed and responded to. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to reestablish local government soon and that we'll have some regularity in terms of what we're able to provide. But again, I find the media partners that we have to be absolutely crucial in delivering information to our citizens, and I give you my thanks for your engagement here today and throughout this entire ordeal.